All right, are you gonna start? All right. All right, let's do this. I wish we had a countdown on the screen.
Well, it's recording.
I know. I get into the zone when I see the countdown.
Okay. Beep, beep, beep.
All right, we're gonna start with laughing because Melissa just gave me a little beep countdown there. But what is up, podcast? Welcome to our first ever episode. Sitting here in my living room with the lovely Melissa Bumstead, on the camera here with Maddie Milkshake, aka Maddie Thompson. This is gonna be our crew here, talking about life, talking about whatever the hell we want. But before we get into the podcast, what we're gonna be talking about, we're gonna give you guys a quick little intro of ourselves. I'm gonna pass this off to Melissa to go first. So Melissa, give us a little.
I literally said you have to go first before we start this.
You also made me intro, so you can go first.
This is our life. This has been my life for the last 25 years since he was born.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I'm Melissa Bumstead, Melissa Valier. I haven't quite decided yet. I don't know how to introduce myself because I'm like, I never know if I'm like, oh, I'm Chris Bumstead's sister, I'm Ian Valier's wife, which
No, you're your own person.
I know I'm my own person, and I don't think it's a bad thing for me to say, like, this is who I am based on people that I love, but, like, people don't like that. They think I don't have an identity. But, like, I also am very secure in my identity. So
you
I'm like,
give a shit.
Yeah, I don't really care, you know? I'm a figure pro. I haven't competed for like 2 years, but I still call myself a figure pro because I'm going to compete again. I graduated 2 years ago with a neuroscience degree. I currently work at a pharmacy. I have 2 dogs that I love very much. I love my husband. I love my brother. I love you too, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm excited to share. I feel like I like talking a lot. That's like, I'm probably... out of our crew, our family, I talk the most of everybody. So this is like a really cool platform for me, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the quiet one, but I'm the one who puts myself out there. So now because I'm putting myself out there, I'm forcing her to put herself out there.
I said, Melissa, you're going to be the one carrying the podcast. I already know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like this is going to take me so long to like,
get comfortable.
you know, like.
Yeah. I think like after the first one is like under your belt, and then you have like by the 5th one you'll be like in the zone.
Yeah, give me 5 at least, not 1.
No.
Yeah, no. I think it'll be like a really good thing, and I feel like anything that you start with and you feel nervous about because you care, it's just more reason to do it anyways.
Yeah.
It's like dive in, right? So.
All right. So what's Matt? You'll get this question too, so get ready. Yeah. What's a embarrassing / funny / or unique something pastime that you have specific to you, different that you like to do other than training, working, whatever?
It's like something that I'm ashamed to admit.
Not ashamed, no, just like something you do in your private time that's like personal to you.
I watch a lot of reality TV.
Trash TV?
Yeah. Like
it's entertaining.
Like Real Housewives. I've watched like every single city, country, and I feel like it's like so not related to like my personality is not like that at all.
Maybe that's why you like it. It's so different.
Yeah, like I'm not really extra. I personally don't like I would never be on a reality TV show. So like, I don't know. I'm not like that, but like watching those people is just fascinating.
Like that's real people, maybe. Yeah. Kind of scripted.
Okay, but like I still believe.
Yeah, that's what makes it entertaining. I still
believe. Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I use to like chill. Like not obviously working out we can say is a hobby, but like it doesn't feel like a hobby anymore, you know?
It's not embarrassing either.
Yeah, but
I didn't mean embarrassing. I meant just like different personal, something some people wouldn't know that you don't normally share.
Yeah.
Like that was perfect.
That's like that's a consistent thing that I do. I could say like, oh, I like to read, but like I'll read for 6 months and then not pick up a book for a year. So I'm not going to say that. Yeah. But yeah, that's probably my consistent like downtime chilling thing that I do.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, most awkward question ever. Tell us about yourself.
Tell me
I'm
about yourself.
Probably just simply a fucking weirdo. No,
I mean, yes.
I mean, really? Yeah. Guy who likes dogs, and that's about it. No, I essentially met Chris 5 years ago. I used to work in the supplement industry, so it kind of first I thought when I saw him in a video, I thought he was such a douchebag. I
I
really
didn't
did.
know that.
I did.
It's when I had
I saw him
bald
in the
sides in my head, slick back hair.
well, and he's like 20 years old, right? So you're like, I mean, I was maybe I'm 3 years older than you.
Yeah.
So I was just like, look at this guy who's 20 years old. He has like a ridiculous physique. His hair, he's just like bronzed. You're like, what is with this guy?
It sounds like you were jealous a little bit.
A little bit. No. Well, I saw his video and then I went to the guys at MHP and I was like, yo, you need to sign him. And he was like, yeah, some other guy, I guess it was Muscular Development or something, said something as well. So I think we got him on the phone and I think I picked up Chris from the airport and I mean, we were pretty much friends right from the beginning.
Yeah, me and Matt just vibe. We had similar calm, like neutral attitudes, just like very chill outlook on life, and we just like hit it off.
Yeah, I think like the first time you were there, you stayed at a hotel, and then the second time you came to Jersey, you just stayed at my house. Like It was.
I immediately was like into Matt's mom's third son. I should be.
Yeah.
There was cookies on my bed when I showed up.
That's a good mom.
Her mom's named Mary too.
Yeah.
Marys make good moms.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So you basically discovered Christopher.
I mean, somewhat.
You got me my first contract.
Yeah. But
That's
I mean,
so cool.
they kind of screwed you over a little bit. I didn't know that.
Long term, it did a little bit.
Oh my God! Look where you are now.
Oh, I know.
Fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I did that for 5 years. And then I think it was your first Olympia. We kind of just started talking. So we went to California or something after.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of just started talking about like different businesses and stuff and kind of got into it that way. And I think maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, I left there. But I was pretty miserable there by the end.
I think a lot of people were.
I think everybody was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to like talk shit, but.
Yeah, they're still around, I guess. They won't listen to this.
Maybe Regas, who knows?
Yeah, he might.
But
yeah. All right, you got anything personal that you do in your own private time that unique to you?
I
don't have anything for myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything unique.
You play video games. That's kind of weird.
That's normal.
I feel like it's weird.
I feel like it's weird that like I don't play video games. Like I just don't. I mean, I'll play if I'm over at your place, but like I just don't play them. I'm not really interested in them. But
what do you do? Do you like to watch TV?
I like just like my thing is just when I'm in my own time, I'm trying to just research different things and learn different things, whether it's YouTube or anything like that. So whether try to, like you said, learning different advertising things, marketing things, different. Like I don't like to read necessarily because I don't retain it as well. But if I watch a video and this and that, I usually call my friends used to call YouTube University. So like anything you need to learn, you always went to YouTube and then try to figure it out that way.
Okay, to build off exactly what Matt's saying, because I can put this into perfect term for him, or an example, I guess, which was hilarious. On Sunday, I'm at my parents' cottage. It was like middle of the afternoon. Nothing's going on. I wasn't talking to Matt. All of a sudden, he texts me. He's like, "Hey, man, I looked at the top income revenue money makers that are coming from TikTok on the Amazon Marketplace, and the top 3 are like LED lights and ring lights. And if you can just get a link to Amazon and sell them on yours, I think we could make money from this and that." And like, this is what Matt's brain's doing on the middle of an afternoon on Sunday. Yeah. How can I make money off TikTok and Amazon Marketplace passively?
Yeah, this is why everyone needs a Matt.
Yeah.
That's that doesn't surprise me at all that that's what you do, to be honest.
I mean, even when TikTok comes out, I might not use it, but I'll go there and try to either learn something about it or you start seeing all these things that pop up of just like I said, it became more of some YouTube stuff besides the dancing stuff where they started doing tutorials and stuff. And I think that's the most interesting thing on the app, really. I mean, if half the world is on this app, you'd kind of be ignorant not to look into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem doing embarrassing things and this and that on the app, but I've always wanted to be someone behind the scenes. I never really was someone who was oh, I need to be out in the front. Because when I see Chris with fans and stuff, I mean, you're awesome with it, but I don't think I'd be able to keep my cool 24/7 in front of people with a line and everything like that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm calm, but I don't know. I feel I have a switch.
It takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Different skills, different things.
Okay, well, are you going to introduce yourself?
I guess so. Yeah.
I know no one knows who
You know
I am, so.
Yeah, no one better know who I am. It's all fresh slate here. I am Chris Bumstead. I am a professional classic physique competitor, not a bodybuilder anymore. I pretty much work out for a living because I love it, but I also hate it sometimes, but I still do it every day. And that's just part of being a bodybuilder, I guess.
That's just life.
Yeah, this past year I won the Classic Physique Mr. Olympia, which has pretty much been my only goal for the last 5 years. So that was a roller coaster of emotions on that journey. I'm sure we'll touch on a lot of that stuff throughout these podcast episodes, but for now we'll leave it at that simple. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I like to enjoy my spare time, just hanging out alone a lot.
Well, what's your weird thing that you do?
A weird thing I do, which probably I have a weird voice a little bit, and I have a lisp, and like my singing voice is horrendous. But when I'm alone, sometimes I'll like blast music and just sing fucking stupid stuff. And I don't think I've really ever admitted that to anyone.
What we wouldn't do to like catch you?
To catch? Oh my god, I'm going red right now in the face, like sweating, just saying that. Like if someone caught me doing that, I would never leave my house again.
Oh, that's so cute.
But yeah, like the new Kygo album I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that album. There's so many songs to it where like when I blast music, I feel like my voice is amazing. But I've heard my voice once, like 5 years ago. I recorded it, and it was so bad I've never.
Oh, so you tried recording yourself?
I put like headphones on and like sang for like 2 seconds. I felt so awkward, even alone, doing this. Like completely alone in my house. I had to like shut it down.
What song was it?
What song?
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I actually can't remember. Sadly, it was a long time ago.
Kelly Clarkson.
Probably
A
something like
moment
that.
like
Or
this.
Shania Twain or something. Or Celine Dion. I'm trying to really match
My
their
heart,
pitch.
my heart will go on.
Yeah, I watched the Titanic again, but I didn't believe it.
I did it once when I was a kid with like the Fisher Price thing, you know?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
like a tape that you could put in, and I recorded it, and I listened back, and it was the most atrocious thing I've ever heard.
Getting used to hearing your own voice, like even on this or vlogs, it's so hard.
I don't
weird.
listen to anything that I ever record because my voice is like
You hear yourself so different.
cringe.
Yeah.
So that's like even when like you put me in vlogs, you always just like point the camera at me and I just freeze and I'm just like I don't know.
Like what was the one? Oh, I was like, Matt, what did we just eat? And you're like, I can't remember. Fajitas? Or you said burrito. And I'm like, no, we said fajitas, Matt. And you're like, oh shit. You forgot what we ate like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Why does everything feel like so like in real time? You know what I mean? Like I feel like as soon as you point your stupid camera at me, I'm like the whole world can see me right now, and I need to get it right.
Yeah.
But like this, it's not real. I don't know. I hate it so much.
It's difficult. It took me years to get used to it, and I'm still not really used to it.
Well, maybe we should talk about why it took us 3 months to
start this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been planning this for probably more than 3 months. We mentioned it probably 6 months ago.
Okay, but you were really lax when you first mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because you were like, oh, I kind of want to start a podcast. And he looked at me and he was like, would you be willing to be part of it? And I was like, well, what are you thinking? Like, do you want me to, like, I don't know, be a guest on it every once in a while? I don't know what the hell you were asking me. And you're like, well, no, you'd be like on it. And then I think I was like, well, yeah, I want to like host it with you. And that was like half a year ago.
Yeah. Because my thing was with podcasts, I didn't want it to be bodybuilding, training, nutrition focused. As you can tell by a random ass intro right now, I wanted to get more into just like life and real things and talk about like Melissa just said, like what took us to this point of doing this. In my Olympia, what was the fear I went through? Melissa hasn't competed in 3 years. Why haven't you competed in 3 years? You know, Matt, we've been trying to start an excess amount of more business shit, but what has held us back from that? Just kind of like life, the emotional side of things, as opposed to just like eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you know? Like you've all heard that bullshit before. Like that's not as interesting to me. And Melissa to me and Matt too aren't those people in that industry. They have a different view on things, but are still involved in the same world as me. So I thought we could get a really cool outlook on it.
Yeah, I think at the same time, like even all of us, we don't really follow like fitness people like that. And we don't really follow the bodybuilding world. Like you guys are over in Canada, like, and you ask like any one of you, like, oh, who's so-and-so? And in most cases you don't know, or it's not like you don't try.
Yeah.
No, but it's not like you don't try. It's just like you'd rather do your normal life and everything, you know? It's not just bodybuilding, you know?
Yeah, it was funny. I think it was like last week where I was talking to Ian about it, and he was like, well, like, what are you guys going to talk about? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, it's not going to be about bodybuilding. And he was like, well, I hope not. And then I got defensive. I was like, excuse me, if I want to talk about bodybuilding, I have the knowledge. Christopher has the knowledge. We can do it. Because Ian obviously is like, you know, he's like my little,
he's the guru.
He's my guru.
Yeah.
So, and then he was like, well, no, that's not what I meant. I just think that you guys have a lot more value to share than bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Like we talk about like life a lot, the three of us, you know what I mean? You're a very deep person, Matt. Christopher's very deep. Like there's like more important shit that you can share that can be like spilled over onto anything you want to succeed in life, whether it's bodybuilding or moving up in your career or starting a family, whatever. Like there's like root core things, you know what I mean, that like have to be addressed and dealt with and talked about so everything else can like flourish.
Yeah, and I think just like adding on that, by us doing it, I hope like other people will kind of see the same thing. Either they start thinking about themselves in certain ways, or at least go out and do the things that they want to go do.
Yeah.
I mean, even from like mine, when I left MHP, I was just like, I'm leaving a full-time paying job and this and that and whatever. And even though I was miserable there. So I was like, I better just like I said, I became friends with Chris. We had some opportunities we want to do it. And, you know, you just had to, like you said in your Instagram thing, like you just have to jump sometimes and see where it goes, you know?
Yeah, like that. I made this Instagram caption talking about how like fear, I think one of my favorite, most powerful emotions in my life, at least, and I think a lot of people, is fear. Like so much of my life and what I do and competing and everything is either pushed into fruition by fear or pulled back by fear. And I was talking about that with this podcast of like, we hadn't even talked amongst ourselves and been like, oh my God, we're kind of scared to do this, until like the day before we're all like, oh my God, we're so nervous. We had just been like, oh, we don't have a mic. Yeah, Melissa's working. Matt's not here. We're making excuses, which we all do in life, to start something. And really, it was just kind of the fear and nerves of starting something fresh, putting ourselves out there and trying something new. Like I do some social media stuff. Melissa and Matt don't really at all. But this is very different. A lot of people were asking me to make bodybuilding content and shit. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So for me to almost go against what people want to see was fearful for me. And of course, starting something new is fearful. And there's a lot of things in my life that are continue to be fueled and pushed back by fear. And I just think, like Matt said, it doesn't get easier. I think that's something people need to understand. It doesn't get easier, but you get more comfortable with dealing with it. Mm-hmm. Like you'll always have fear of trying something new, but until you get used to overcoming that fear, you'll just continue to do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly,
and like, I'm someone who, I mean, I hate like sometimes coming out like of doing my own thing and this and that, but I mean, like you said, it just, you have to continue to keep pushing or you're just going to be stagnant with whatever you do, really.
Mm-hmm. My biggest thing with that right now is my off season.
What do you mean?
Like, I've had I'm assuming a lot of people know me on this and we can dive into more, but I've had health issues in competing before. Mm-hmm. And now that the Olympia got pushed back, I was like, oh, okay, I can wait a bit to start pushing my body. The more I push my body, the more weight I put on, the more I force it to become the bodybuilder I need to win the Olympia again, the more I feel that's going to be a detriment to my health and autoimmune disease I have and stuff like that. So I've been telling myself, oh, I'll wait until this point and I'll start pushing myself. Oh, the Olympia got pushed back, I can wait longer. I'm not really going to train hard. I'm not going to eat too much. I'm not going to push this. I'm not going to push that because of excuses. But realistically, there's a fear inside me of like my health and can my body handle it again? And I don't want to get to that point where I feel sick again, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you're not pushing yourself because you're scared to be sick. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Fears of just whatever will come with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do?
What do I do?
When do you start?
I've been telling myself once I go through all my doctor's appointments and everything, and they all come back, and if I'm healthy, then I'm good to go. So that's what I'm still telling myself.
But
that's a good reason.
That sounds rational to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, there's like a balance of actually being rational and smart, especially when it's something that's your health and like doing the proper steps before starting. And then there's like, oh, I'm going to like wait till I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm the type of person that's like, oh, I'll know when it's right. Like I'll know when I'm ready. Like I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait.
It'll just feel right.
Yeah, I'll feel right. Like I'll be happy to do it. That's when I'm gonna start a prep. Like who's ever happy to put down the ice cream? You know what I mean? Like it's always gonna be a little bit of a sacrifice. Yeah. But like I'm bad with it. Yeah.
I think at the same time, like with even like for like Chris, but I think your fear is also your driving factor of like you want to see like you become your best at what you do, you know? So like your fear of not becoming that is also something that pushes you.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I was saying when I was like, fear is what's pushed me into being successful and what's held me back in some things. Like last year, there was a lot of you've seen me through highs and lows, you both have, of points where it's like, fuck, this kid's going to give up. Or like, I felt like I was like, I'm going to give up. And I was terrified of my health and losing or whatever. And like, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm no fucking Michael Jordan, like in that last dance, but watching that made me feel like a huge pussy because of the pressure he had. But we all feel our own pressure in our own way. I get that. But 100%, the fear that overcame the fear of losing was the fear of knowing I didn't try. Like 100%. If I would have not pushed myself because I was scared and then gone to the Olympia and lost, but I'd still gotten to that point and I hadn't tried, I would have fucking hated myself. You know?
I mean,
whereas if I had given my all and lost, I would have been happy.
Yeah, 100%.
2018, I fucking gave I was in the hospital for a week, at 4 weeks out from this prep, and I gave everything I had in me, like every ounce of will in me, just to walk into the gym on that day. And when I came off stage, coming second place, I lost, being kind of expected to win. I never cried so much in my entire life out of happiness, of how proud I was of overcoming all that. I was almost happier to lose in 2018 than to win in 2019, to be completely honest, which was powerful.
I mean, yeah,
it's heavy. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when you called 4 weeks out, and I mean, you were devastated because at that point you didn't even know anything really. Because were you diagnosed? I don't think. No, you.
I was diagnosed till 6 days out.
Yeah, you just gone to the hospital for like 3 days. You said you like put on 20 pounds overnight or something, and I mean, I didn't even know what to say then. I mean, it was just kind of like one of those situations. But like, I think like after 6 days or something, you kind of started getting back into it. But like, even then you weren't sure of what the future was going to hold, you know, for just even alone that prep, you know?
For sure. You were with me when I left that doctor's office, right? Did I start crying there yet?
Yeah, I think in the car you did. I don't, it's hard to remember. I feel like,
I remember where I was when you called me.
You also don't really like you show when you spill over, but until the point of spilling over, you don't really show. Like you're pretty like, and I feel like I know you very well. There's sometimes when like you could be agitated and I wouldn't have even noticed, you know what I mean? So like, and it's funny because like I'll be like, oh, he's fine, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, fuck, like he's scared and he's like not doing okay. But like I'm also like kind of, I feel like you walk on water a bit, so I'm always like, he'll be fine, like it's okay, he'll figure it. Like I'm super empathetic and I love you obviously, but like I just feel like you always can mentally. And I don't want that to even be pressure, but like I know. I feel like you can always.
I build that around myself, though.
You're like a very mentally tough person, and I used to think that I was. I used to think I was tougher than him, but like now I'm like I'm going through something. I'm like, fuck, you actually were very ignorant to like the vulnerability of yourself, that you like are open up to these feelings that people have, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas like you just always, you feel things and then you keep pushing, and your fear is a driver.
Yeah.
Whereas like my fear, or for most people, their fear is a stop sign. Yeah. It's just like, how do we like get his brain, you know?
Flip that switch?
Yeah.
But I mean, Chris is one of the few people that I probably know that if you like turn a switch on or turn a switch off, no matter what it is in your life, you're usually like, there's no looking back. There's no overthinking. There's no anything. It's just, you just go.
You just do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, the fear of everybody else usually holds yourself back. Like I'm like a chronic overthinker. Like I'll overthink everything. And it's just, sometimes it just gets annoying. But like sometimes like when you see you and like I said, you make a decision, you're like, all right, I'm going to just do it.
I don't know. That's just how I kind of live my life.
I think you've always been like that, though.
Yeah,
you know,
it is kind of my ability to just shut things out a lot too.
Yeah.
And like you said, that pressure almost I find a lot of people do have on me is like thinking I walk on water sometimes.
Yeah.
Whether in relationships or my family or friends or something, it's always like, Chris is successful. Chris is good at this. Chris is good at that. Where inside I could be crumbling. I'm just not showing it.
But like that's sometimes where I feel like a bad sister or a bad friend, because like I'm always just like, he'll figure himself out, you know what I mean? Whereas like sometimes everyone needs somebody. Like everyone needs someone to be like, yo, you good? Do you need me to like lift you up right now? But like, and if someone doesn't offer, he's not going to ask. So like, I mean, I've noticed that a lot over the last, like probably only the last like 6 months with like him. And I'm like, how can I change? So I'm more of a like pillar in the relationship and less of just like, you know?
Yeah.
So
I noticed that with your last prep. I think when I went out there and stayed there for like 2 weeks, I was only supposed to be there for a week. And I think you're like, can you just stay one more? Cause like we both feed off of like the energy in the room. Right. So like, same thing. So, I mean, that was the only time I think I've ever seen you where you could tell by like your eyes, like that you just weren't like either there or you just felt like so frustrated with everything, you know? And you could see that it was like wearing down in your mind. I think that was the first time I think I've seen that from you specifically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely good and bad that comes with that. Like Melissa said, it allows me to like bear it down and keep pushing forward, but it feels very lonely.
I was just going to ask, like we can talk about how like good this is, but there's obviously must be something bad that comes. It
feels very lonely because I believe often in myself that I have to only I can rely on myself and only I can get through things and only I can get through it alone. And I genuinely feel like that. But if I like put a hint out for help and don't get it, which is not even a hint, I'll like smile and go like, or I'll make like a subtle face and I'm like, oh, if no one sees I'm upset, suck it up. You're a pussy, you know, get over it by yourself. Yeah. And don't tell anyone about it. If you talk about it, it's going to make it worse. Just fucking get through it. And I have, and I don't know how I've gone through a lot of shit. I'm grateful for however I have. But it has made me feel very alone through a lot of processes because I'm not sharing the journey, the emotions of what I'm going through with anybody else. It's just internalizing it and pushing through alone. So it's definitely a downside of it.
But I think like you don't
disconnect from people around me.
I think the difference is like you don't like listen to the voices in your head. You almost just tell yourself to do something instead, you know? If that makes sense.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like he listens to them, but like I mean, I feel like I do it too. And I don't know if this is like a personality trait from like our environment, but like you listen to them, but you're not going to ever tell anyone else that you hear them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if I'm like when I was prepping for the Arnold and like every single day I woke up and I was like literally just paralyzed by fear, paralyzed by everything. I never once said it to anybody. It was like, how you doing? And I was like, oh, well, I feel like I'm behind, but like, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll get there. And people just kept looking at me and being like, you always get in shape. Don't worry about it. You know?
Yeah.
You've never come not in shape. You'll be fine. So then you're like, well, you just shut me down. I'm not going to tell you that I'm actually not going to be in shape. That's what's happening right now. And then you don't tell anybody and you're literally alone for 12 weeks stressing out. Like, it's like, you would never like say.
No, I'll almost lie on both sides of it. If I feel like I'm going to do good and going to win, someone's like, you're going to win. I'm like, no, I'm not there. I'm going to lose. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I'll be like, I'll say that and kind of believe it. But it's like in the last prep, you, Matt, you, Calvin, and everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, like you can push through this. You can do it. In my head, I was just like, there's no fucking chance I'm winning the Olympia this year. Like I can't. You know, in my head, I was like devastated. And usually that mindset is what leads someone to fulfill that. And I was just like in my head, I was saying that in my head, but I don't know. I guess I didn't listen to it, but I was definitely repeating it in my head. I went to bed at night thinking I was going to get destroyed. I was going to embarrass myself. I was going to lose and maybe my body was just done for. And then I would wake up the next morning and just do it, just do what I had to do.
I mean, there was 3 weeks out. I remember it was a leg day. And we were going to, what's the gym with like the hack and everything? Not New Body.
New Body.
No, what's the other one?
Oh, Movati.
Movati. We had to go to Movati, and it was leg day for you. And I remember I said to Calvin, I was like, no filming today. Like, I'm not working out with him. Because I remember when you woke up that day, you just were like a shell of yourself. Like, you didn't want to talk to anybody. And I knew like that was like the one time I was like, yo, I knew you would say something at that point if like you needed us to like help with anything that day.
Yeah.
You like,
Well, like, would you?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
I might not have. But I feel like what I needed, Matt saw, and what I needed was to be left alone.
Yeah, but you're lucky you have a Matt.
Yeah.
because I remember we went to the gym without you that day. It was
this was when my hamstring was torn too, right?
You weren't alone at night or something.
I can't remember.
I feel like you texted me and told me that you did this. That you
I think
you needed to do it or something.
Me and him went to the gym, and you said I'm doing my own thing. And I remember like we got to the gym. I think you showed up maybe towards the end of our workout, and you're like, I almost just didn't come. Like, but you got up and you still did it, man. I mean, you still put on like 5 plates on the hack.
Like, yeah, you also had a sick workout, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think that was like the breaking point of like that was like the day that like you saw what you could push yourself through. And I think like every day after that, like it just almost seemed to get better, you know?
Yeah. I think that might have been a night where I went to bed and I talked to us a bit in the other video I made of a recap, but I went to my bathroom and posed alone. Because I'd been doing all my updates in front of 3 people in my living room every time. Calvin was videotaping every day of my life. I was on camera around people. And finally I went alone and I like posed in the bathroom. And I was like devastated by how I looked. Because I looked so worse than I had years before. And then I went to bed just feeling like beat up and broken, I guess. And then sent you guys off and I think I laid in my apartment alone for a while.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, if I don't go to the gym right now and I fall into this spiral of allowing myself to not go into the gym, if I let up on the gas one day, you know, I find this big. If people are on a roll and you let up one day, it can be like the end of that. And I think I just felt that. And I knew if that spiraled down, how I would feel after the Olympia anyway, just in myself, if I had let myself down. And I just like dragged my ass to the gym. I walked in glaring at Calvin, like pissed at him for breathing too loud or something.
Chewing.
Yeah. He'd chew in the ear and I'd be like, Calvin, shut the fuck up.
He was in the car sniffling behind you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. I love Calvin. I love you, Calvin, if you listen to this. But it was just my mindset I was in at that day.
I just remember from before that, because like after that you weren't too bad. Like working out with you wasn't too bad. Like, but working out for like that week and a half before that with you was just... like,
yeah, that was my worst point. I think around 4 weeks out.
Yeah,
that was when I tore my hamstring the week before, and my body wasn't changing.
Yep. Fuck. Because like training with you any other time, like you're just so easygoing and this and that. Like you go in, you get what you need to get done, and there you're just like, I don't care. I'm literally doing like what I need to get done. I'm not changing anything from this. And I was like, I'm gonna go work out by myself.
Yeah, see, you're amazing at that, at reading people and understanding. And then there's Calvin, who was this too. He can't read people quite as well. He wants to be in your face and just like be the puppy, you know.
But I think he has like also he's there to film too. So like
yeah,
his number one thing is just to film sometimes. So like, you know, so he's doing it from both a friend and work perspective, you know.
Yeah. And in his defense, I'm so grateful he did now. Because looking back at some of those videos where I did not want that camera in my face, but being able to like re-experience it and watch it, and like I can see in my eyes how I felt. It's fucking the most surreal feeling. Like most people don't get footage.
Yeah, it's irreplaceable. Yeah.
So I even think like with footage and stuff, like he's filming, like you don't have to use it. He never has to use it, but like he's like, as long as I just have it, you know.
Yeah.
Like you said, and now you're grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure. There's no one else I would want filming me except Calvin.
Yeah.
Like I probably wouldn't vlog my preps if it wasn't Calvin at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we first started doing stuff, I showed up for the Olympia, the first one. I think I had Dan Drescher. I had him film for you. And I showed up and you were like, I think I walked up to you with Dan. I'm like, yeah, you remember Dan from Muslim Strength, this and that. And I was like, he's just going to like follow you and film you for the weekend. And you turned to me and you're like, absolutely not. And you like walked away. Yeah, you walked away. And I was like, shit, I already paid him.
Yeah, he just paid him, told him to show up.
Oh, dear.
So like we paid for all this. And then I was just like, I was like, give me like a half a day. If you hate it, like you can tell him like to leave. But Dan's also he can read a room too, and he just stays quiet. So like he's pretty easy to work with as far as that. But I remember when I first showed up, I mean, you're like, how could you do this to me at the Olympia? And this and that.
And now that's one of the, like, now all these videos are so fucking cool to have too.
Yeah.
2018 I missed because I couldn't have people then, but 2017 that videos are sick too.
Well, 2018 was 2017, the first one, right?
Yeah.
I think that one was just like seeing you. That was the one it was just so fun. It was like your first Olympia. Like you're still like 22 or whatever. Competing.
I miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even felt like I was young then. You know what I mean? Like I don't. How old was I? 26.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I was 26, so I still felt like the baby with the figure girls, and it was like my first Olympia. I didn't even expect to get to the Olympia. I was like, whatever, like, and there was just like no pressure. Like you don't care. Like I came dead last. I didn't care.
But you loved it. And
it was so it was so fun. And the next year, I like came 12th, and I was devastated. I was like, I'm on the top 10. Like
nothing more enjoyable than that first year where there's no expectation.
Yeah. It's literally just magic. Like you just walk around and you're just like in awe of everything. Like everything is just like so special. Yeah.
There's less fear with no expectations. Obviously, it's just, it's cool you're even here. Do whatever you want.
I think the coolest thing from at least my perspective is like kind of watching you guys, because it's crazy to me that as much as you guys put in like the hard work, you go through your prep and this and that, like you both literally don't care. Like you do, but you don't when you watch each other. You don't care how your self places. You're literally there to see what the other one does. Like you could care less if you both got first, but you want the other one to do well,
Yeah. We're so biased.
Oh my God.
I've been to like almost every one of Melissa's figure shows. I probably missed 3 maybe, a lot of them. And every single time I'm like, as Melissa walks in, I'm like, she won. We're like celebrating before there's anyone else on stage. They come up and like, she's fucking better than that girl, She won. She just won the pro show. Like, fuck yeah. And then like, she comes like second or something, and we're just like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, pissed off at it. But I don't think there's been a show I've seen where I didn't think Melissa was going to win.
No, but even like on the Olympia though, like, I still feel like every time I go there, you're like, you care that Melissa's first and Melissa cares that you're first, but like in your own mind, you don't care if you guys place like 5th. Like you're like, as long as the other one does well, it's okay,
My mind switched a bit on that. I used to feel like this year mine has. If I came 5th, I'd be devastated this year.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying like in general, you always like cared about what the other one did.
For sure, yeah. I was more stressed about her almost sometimes. Ian definitely is always more stressed about you.
Oh my God, I feel like Ian has an anxiety attack every time I'm on stage. There's like always a dead water bottle after. It's always like him just like the water bottle. And then I'm like, oh my God, after the Arnold was the worst. He just like looked at me with like such, I don't want to say pity because that makes him sound like a dick, but it was just like,
He just felt for you.
He just like felt so bad for me. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I embarrassed you. And he was like, what? But like, that's what happens when you're like so connected with somebody, like you almost like you feel your emotions, but like you also feel theirs. And like, it's also probably bad because you can like use feeling their emotions to like not actually feel yours.
Yeah.
So like if I'm, I embarrassed Christopher, I embarrassed Ian because I looked like shit. Like, why aren't you embarrassed yourself? Like actually start thinking about like,
you're using that to hide how you feel.
Yeah, 100%, because that's going to hurt more. Like me actually being like, oh my God, it feels like you just sewered your name. That's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. Let's be completely honest. And like everyone can say it's one show, but like you feel like you've ruined your name, your legacy. Like, she's always shredded. Not anymore. Like, and you're just so embarrassed. Whereas, like, if I can just be like, I embarrassed Christopher and I'm sorry I let Ian down, like, he coached me, then, like, I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, even when you came in and saw me after that, I think I was just, like, lying in bed. I'm like, it's fine. I'll do another show and I'll be in shape.
Not when I was there.
Did I cry?
A little bit, yeah.
I don't even remember crying.
Yeah, you were tearing up for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was, like, one of the worst days of my life. So.
Do you find that's like somewhat of a cause of why you have taken 2 years off?
I'm terrified. Yeah. I'm terrified that I'll never be in shape again. Like,
I'm like scared to get into that topic because I had a list of questions of an episode I want. Like you just made this about me, this one, but I wanted exactly.
Okay, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, we want to
We'll
talk about it.
it.
I don't want to suppress it, but this is like
No,
there's a lot that goes into this, and I think that will be a very powerful episode of fear. Like my kind of fear pushed me forward, like we were talking about. And this is kind of fear holding you back
for literally years. Yeah. No, we'll talk about it next week.
So there's a lot to dive into that.
Yeah,
and I don't want to overlook any of that.
No.
All right, so I think that's going to be a wrap on this first episode here on our podcast that is not named yet. So hopefully when this is up, there will be a name. I will tell you guys the name and we will put it on it. But like I was saying, our excuses of not starting the podcast, one of the big ones was not having a name. So we just said, screw it, we're going to start it with no name and come up with it after. Like I said, sometimes you just got to jump. But in the future, we're going to be trying to have a little more organized stuff. Like I said, we're going to have a full episode on Melissa Bumstead's fear over here, and they're competing. Her experience at the Arnold in 2018?
2018.
It was 2019.
Really?
Was it?
Everyone's like 3 years, 2 years, but I did the
Olympia. 2 years.
I did, but I did the Olympia in 2018.
Oh shit, you did. It was 2019.
And then I did the Arnold in March of 2019. So it's been like a year and a half, which like isn't really that long to not be on the stage, considering that there have been no shows yet this year.
Yeah.
But like it still feels like
it's how you've approached it.
It's also like I've been ghost on social media too. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just that. Like there's a lot more about like competing than just stepping on stage, right? Like I haven't really been training, whatever. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, that's our first episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We're kind of catching our groove, so hopefully we'll get better and better. I think we had pretty good conversation flowing though. Got to get into our little.
I'm sure if we didn't, they will tell us.
Yeah, you guys will roast us below. But this is number one, so be gentle on us. If you guys like it, please leave a review. I don't know how podcasts even work or where you're listening to this. We're also going to be starting a Instagram page where we're going to be taking questions from you guys. And if anyone has good questions, we're going to be putting them at the end of the podcast in this kind of segment when we close out. We can give you guys a shout out, answer your question, anything you guys want. Just ask away. If it's a stupid question, you will not be answered. But that's kind of life. There's no stupid questions, only stupid people.
Try to keep it more about life, I guess. Like, again, if you want the bodybuilding, go to Chris's YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do Q&As on my YouTube if you want to learn how to eat protein.
How to eat protein. Chew and swallow.
Chew 15 times per bite, please. If you don't chew 15 times, then you go catabolic. No, but yeah, so appreciate all of you guys who have made it this far into this podcast. We're grateful to have any kind of fan base on episode number 1. We're going to be growing quickly. And yeah, thank you guys.
Bye. Love you, Matt.
Love you guys.
Christopher.
XOXO.